Good morning, class 9 students. Welcome back to your online class. So, we are left with the topic in our chapter, which is the different types of operating system. So, let us see the different types of operating system used in computer. Now, the first one is single user operating system. As the name is itself says that it is a single user operating system, so only one user can be supported by it at one point of time. Now further it is divided into subcategories, which is a single task OS and single user multitask operating system. In single task OS, the OS operating system supports or runs only a single application at a time. For example, Microsoft Disk operating system, which is MS-DOS. And in a single user multitasking operating system, the operating system supports one user, but it can deal with multiple applications running at a time simultaneously, such as suppose you are listening to a music and you're working on a Word document, or you are viewing a video and you're browsing on internet. So those kind of tasks can be performed simultaneously. It is a multitasking single user operating system, which is also categorized under single user OS. Now the second category or the type of operating system is multi-program operating system. In this multiple program operating system, it supports multiple programming. It means more than one user can be supported by it, or one user, you can say more than one user programs are loaded and it is stored in the memory of the computer at the same time, and it is executed using some techniques by one. The example of multi-programming operating system can be Unix and Linux. They supports multiple programming. The third category is the time sharing operating system. In this type of operating system, it uses the time sharing technique to manage the request given by the user. For example, I have given two tasks to the computer. Now the fair share of time, fair share means the equal proportion of time will be divided in the both the tasks. And suppose in the given set of time for the first task fails to perform, then the CPU or the operation jumps over to the next task which is given by the user, and the first task will be on a waiting time, and then once the second is completed, and then the first task will be completed. You can take an example. For example, I am opening a Word file and I am opening a music. For example, a fair share of time of 2 seconds are given for both the tasks. So if the opening the music is taking time more than 2 seconds, so the second task, which is opening the MS Word document, will be performed first, and then CPU will shift that task to the second one, and then once the file is open, then the music will be played. So this is how time sharing operating system works. Now the example of time sharing operating system are BSD, Unix and Jenny. There are many other examples given in your book, you can see. So these basically follow the time sharing technique for the execution of the different type of tasks given by the user at the same time. The fourth kind of operating system is a real-time operating system. It is also called as RTOS. The example can be Linux and RT Linux. In this kind of operating system has a fixed deadline for each task given by the user, and if in the fixed time or at the fixed deadline the CPU fails to perform the task or execute the task, then that task will get cancelled automatically and the next task will be performed. Alright, it is not like a time sharing that it will shift to that task. Here there are a fixed real-time deadlines, and if suppose a task is not being performed within the 2 seconds of time, then that task will be cancelled and the second task will be performed. The fifth one is a multiprocessing operating system, where the operating system is capable of handling more than one processors. As the jobs, there are many kind of job which need to be executed by the one processor. So CPU divides the task between the different processors so that the efficiency of the system should increase. Because if there will be one as there is one processor inside the CPU, so the task is performed by that processor only. But if we are going to divide the task between different processors, so our task efficiency will be increased and the task will be performed easily and fastly. The examples of this kind of operating system can be Unix, Linux and Windows NT. The last kind of operating system is a distributed operating system where the workload is shared on a multiple servers. You can take an example of a railway reservation system wherein the tasks are divided. The workload of the ticket reservation is divided over the multiple servers. Multiple server means the computer only which is being made as a server. So it is typically based on a decentralized architecture where the resources are divided in the multiple servers to get the maximum efficiency, because one server will not be capable of handling so many requests from different parts of the world, right? So in a reservation system, when people all over the world are booking tickets, so there need to be multiple servers where the workload can be shared so that the task can be efficiently performed, and the output should be given to each user very easily and fastly in a less number of time. So the example of distributed operating system can be Unix, Linux. Alright, so I hope you have understood these type of operating systems. So let us now see that what are device drivers and why there is a need of device driver in computer. A device driver is actually a group of files that enable the hardware devices to communicate with the operating system. What does this mean? Actually, the group of files are stored in the driver CDs, which enable the hardware of our computer, the physical components of our computer like CPU or monitor, to operate and communicate with the OS. You may understand like this that to interact with the hardware devices, the kernel part of OS need to speak in the same language that the device understands, and that language, or that you can say the files through which they work, they are written in those driver. And for that driver is basically the CD which is available with that written program. So when we install that CD into the computer, then that particular external device is ready to work for you, is able to interact with the operating system properly. Now, why do we need device drivers? The hardware devices which are installed on your computer that requires a different type of device driver or hardware driver. For example, you can say that if you have attached the external hardware like a printer or a scanner into your computer, so for that you need a device driver to be installed, which will help the operating system to interact with the external hardware which you have attached, and all the group of files which help that particular device to operate, that is written in the form of a file and stored in a CD. So that is required to be installed to make it work properly. That is why we need device drivers. I hope you have understood today's topic. So go through the video very properly. If you have any doubt, you can mail me or text me. Till the time, stay safe and happy. Thank you so much.